We are back for part two of the cartoon villains tier list. I think I did A through D the first time, so we're going to start with E. Here, I won't rehash everything that I said in the first video about the tiers and the rankings and the methodology, so we'll just get started. Um, this is Earth Mover. Earth Mover is from Batman Beyond. It's kind of a weird villain. I don't remember his backstory too much. I think he got like trapped or something and just became part of the ground. It's kind of neat enough. I'd probably have him in cool enough. Mm, wasn't like as memorable as some of these guys. I'd probably have him maybe down here by some of the GoBot folks to Ken, like around there. That's fine. All right, El Cid. El Cid is from The Tick. He is a sunflower and is a plant-based villain. Obviously, he was cool enough as well. I don't think he was like one of my favorite Tick villains, but he was pretty funny. Um, Somewhere in here, probably around Brainchild, and I thought Brainchild was a little funnier. All right, Electro from Spider-Man, the animated series. I don't remember Electro that much in the show. I think he's a cool villain, but I don't think he was a primary villain. Uh, because of that, I'd say to me he's probably just in like the cool enough category. I mean, I liked having him on the show, but I don't remember enough about him. Probably have him up here, maybe a little bit above the DD Twins. All right, Elmira. Elmira is from Tiny Toons. She was the one who always wanted a pet and hug them and hold them. I think she was on Pinky and the Brain as well. They had like a Pinky and the Brain and Elmira show. So she was always like trying to grab him and cuddle him and everything. Uh, Elmira was fun. I mean, she wasn't one of my favorites. I probably have her in the cool enough as well. I know we've started with a few of those. That'll change. But I'd have her. Um, I mean, she was funny. Let's just put her like one above these baby face baby doll folks. All right, this is Imbo. Imbo is a bounty hunter from Clone Wars, I think. Maybe Rebels. Might have been Rebels. Again, they run together a bit for me. Uh, I liked him. I thought he was a cool character, kind of that samurai. I have a penchant for samurai shows. Cool samurai type character. I'd have him in the Barely Not Awesome. Probably, uh, maybe right above the Duke. Uh, don't remember too much about him or how much he was in it, so that holds him back a little bit, but otherwise he's good. All right, Emma Frost. Emma Frost on X Men as part of the Hellfire Club was responsible for Dark Phoenix and a lot of that stuff. She was a cool character for sure. I don't know if I'd have her as awesome or not. There are a lot of good X Men villains, but I'd have her in Barely Not Awesome. She just wasn't in the show a ton. Now, I think she had a big part in the part that she was in. So she was kind of like maybe top tier of or top part of the Barely Not Awesome and could move around. Right, Emperor Pilaf. Emperor Pilaf is from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z Super. I don't remember which ones he was in after that, but fun character, fun little character trying to get all the power through the Dragon Balls, and is one of those comedic relief characters that's very driven. Has good henchmen. I didn't put the henchmen in there because they're honestly seemingly pretty nice people in the end. But I like Emperor Pilaf. I think he's awesome. I think he is a fun character. I'd probably have him. Let's just have him right above Desdemondo for now. And again, I've said this before. I will probably move some of these around once I see them next to each other. It'll rattle in my head where I want them. All right, Barely Not Awesome. Probably for the Enchantress. She was in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Always a good villain. She's kind of conniving and tries to lure Thor and them into traps. I wouldn't say I liked her as much as the Nyla, so I'll just put her maybe toward the bottom of the Barely Not Awesome. Okay, now we have Entrappa, I think. So Entrappa also was a She-Ra character, and she, if I recall, and as I can see in the picture, used her hair kind of like Medusa in the Marvel universe. Again, She-Ra's not my favorite. I don't know if she was as annoying as Catra, but I wasn't a big fan of the She-Ra villains. But I'd probably have her right around them as well. Just not my style of villain. If I watch the show more, maybe I'd get used to it and like them a little bit more. Okay, this is from Batman and the Bold. This is Equinox, I think. Is that his name? Something like that. He's an E, and I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's something like that. The character itself is very memorable. It's part of this show where he's got a lot of power and he kind of comes in and out every now and then and influences the situation. He's kind of Barely Not Awesome to me. It was a cool take on a character that was different than some of the other just standard rogue villains. I'd have him probably around like Despero here. Eric the Red, also from X Men. He's kind of a lackey of Daken and responsible for the Earth. He's a bit of a wuss that looks cooler than he really is. So I'd probably have him in the don't really care about, but toward the top. Um, he could move. He's more of a plot device to get things moving, and there's cooler characters that come around not so long after him. Evil-Lyn. Evil-Lyn is from He-Man, and Evil-Lyn is one of those cool female villains. I think she was a sorceress, but I think she was from Earth. They have Eternia where they lived, but for some reason remember her being from Earth. I'd have her as awesome. Now she's not like the Baroness to me in terms of being my favorite, but she is up in this awesome group, and I'd probably have her uh, maybe just toward the bottom of the awesome group. All right, Evil Morty. So this is a Rick and Morty villain. There's not a ton of Rick and Morty villains I have in here. There's a lot of like side villains and stuff that happen throughout the show, but Evil Morty recurs. So if you don't watch the show, there's like infinite Mortys or infinite Ricks, and there's always an evil Morty. And so he is evil, has the eye patch, the what you'd see in the movies. He is a fun character. He's kind of. It's not like I'm sitting there going like, oh, I hope evil Morty is in the show. So I would have him in the Barely Not Awesome category as well. Uh, Probably maybe around. Let's just put him right around the Duke as well. Evil Star. Evil Star is a side character from Justice League and some of the DC shows. I can't remember if he's on one of the others, but it seems like he was. He's one I just didn't really care about. I can't even remember who he's a villain for. Maybe Green Lantern, something like that. But he is kind of like, I'd say, Kronos to me. Yeah, somewhere around there. And they don't really care about. Executioner. So Executioner's Thor from Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Thor villain. I don't remember much about him in the show. I don't know if he was in the show a lot. He was fine, but again, it's kind of in that if he was on, great. If not, it's similar to Eric the Red, and I'd probably put Eric the Red ahead of him. All right, Fabian Cortez. So Cortez was in X-Men as an acolyte. He has powers to increase the powers of other mutants, I believe. Very brash, like power hungry, willing to stab you in the back kind of character. He wasn't my favorite. He was needed for the plot and what they were doing, which is fine. everybody did fine. The voice actor was good, everything was good, but again, he's one I just like. If he was in the show, I didn't really care about. It's like move on, go to somebody else. Okay, so this is Fat Cat, I believe, from Chippendales Rescue Rangers. So Fat Cat belonged to that Alden dude we had in the first video. He is the primary, I think, antagonist in Chippendale. I remember him quite a bit. Great voice. Was a cat sometimes from like Alden's perspective, and then the villain for the Chippendale quite often. I'd have him in the awesome category. I think he's a good like lead antagonist, and I would probably have him. Let's have him just around like ahead of Cycle, right there. All right, Felix Faust, I think is this guy from Justice League, maybe some other stuff. He's a cool character. I remember for some reason, I think it was on that show. Maybe it was one of the other ones or a movie, and I'm getting mixed up. But he has a lot of magic, and he's has like he was in a giant library for some reason. I remember that. He's not somebody who I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to see that. He was cool enough though, and I would probably put him. Let's have him just after Doc Terror. Cool personality, was mean. It was fun to watch, but just cool enough. Right, Firefly. Firefly, we have two Fireflies, different shows. Firefly from G.I. Joe. This guy was kind of ruthless, like it felt like. He wasn't on the show a ton, but when he was there, he's trying to light everything on fire. So I'd have him as cool enough. I don't think he drove enough of the plot or anything. He's just kind of a side dude that was fun to watch. He's kind of like Buzzsaw, so I'm going to put him just below Buzzsaw here. All right, other Firefly. Other Firefly is from Batman. Not one of my favorite Batman villains, just kind of a generic fire villain. They tend to do a decent job with him just because the shows are good, but he's one I don't really care about. He's kind of like Destroyer to me. Around there. Firelord. Firelord is again, Herald of Galactus. We had Airwalker here before. Similar deal. I thought Airwalker looked a little cooler, so I'll put him, Firelord, right below. Firelord's a bigger character, I think, in the comics. He was just a one-time deal without much personality in the show. So, again, we're just ranking on the cartoon appearance and not other media. Trevor Fitzroy. So this dude time traveled in X-Men, was pretty important to the plot for a few episodes. He's, I kind of associated with Cortez a little bit. I like him a little bit better, but just a little, and he's cool enough. So I'm going to put him one above. Let's see here. This is Freaky Fred. So Freaky Fred is from Courage the Cowardly Dog, and he was creepy. I mean, a lot of those villains are creepy, but he's one that I remember being creepy. He was, I think, a barber, and I think he was nephew or something of the lady that owned Courage, and he seemed like a nice guy. And he was a nice guy, but he had this mental institution band on him, and it was like hair cutters that are have to shave heads and stuff, like they're obsessed with like shaving animals or something. And so Courage saw that and was like, oh god. And I actually think he ended up getting shaved at the end of the episode or somewhere around it. He was a cool character though. I like those creepy characters. I'm gonna put him up with some of the others. Courage I've got together. I liked him probably right above Big Toe here, but he's a fun character. All right, the foot soldiers. I didn't remember if there was like a major or main foot soldier, but these are from Turtles. I tended to not include like groups of fighters, but they're pretty iconic for uh, being the main group to support Shredder on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They are they're fine. They're like barely not awesome. I say they're fine, meaning they're not awesome to me. They're good, just like punching bags. But I wouldn't put them above some of these other characters in terms of like their coolness to it. But I'll put them like right around here. Okay. I've got to go back because I think and I'll do this later, but I remember this. There was an issue with like the picture for Frieza from Dragon Ball. So I'm going to look to get just a few of these added that I found. But this is not Frieza. This looks like Frieza a little bit, but it's actually Frost, who was another universe's Frieza. And he was, I think, supposed to be a nice version of him, but ended up being a villain. Was kind of cool take on it because he was seen as a bit of a hero, but he was causing the problems he was saving or something like that. I'd have him maybe around right around here in the cool enough category. All right, Elmer Fudd, classic, hunting wabbits. Elmer Fudd's awesome. He's a classic character, an iconic character. He's hard to rank against some of these others, but as I think of like, these types of characters, Dick Dastardly, I'd have Elmer Fudd maybe right below him. Okay, Funhouse. Funhouse was from Batman, Brave and the Bold, and kind of a Joker ripoff, but Joker was in the show, so he was I don't know, kind of different clown version. I mean, he was fine. I didn't really care about him. I probably have him in the Dottie-ish section down here that I don't really care about. All right, Galactus. Galactus was in Earth's Mightiest Heroes and other shows as well. Silver Surfer. This is the Earth's Mightiest Heroes version. He is not super memorable to me for Earth's Mightiest Heroes, but he was cool enough. Like I can't even remember some of his plot points. I was trying to remember if he did more than Annihilus to me to put him up there, but probably not. But I will have him. Mm, right around here in the cool enough category. Games Master. Games Master was in G.I. Joe, and he was kind of an interesting villain because he was one of the few villains that I remember that wasn't in Cobra. He actually caught both G.I. Joe and Cobra people and put them out in this game he had. So they had to fight together and do stuff together. And I thought it was a fun episode. It was cool little episode. I don't think he was in it more than that, so he wasn't really prevalent in the show. But I thought he was a cool enough take to do something different. I'll put him toward the bottom of cool enough. I like that they tried something different there. Gangrene Gang. Gangrene Gang is from Powerpuff Girls. I just kept them all together because I could not differentiate them too much in my head. Obviously, their personalities, you can almost see it in the picture, are different. You got the big hulking dude, you got the leader dude, the little fun sidekick dude, and then the kind of crazy goofy one. But they were fine. They weren't my favorite on Powerpuff Girls. I know they were key villains, but they were fine. And I would have them. Probably. Let's just put them around Dr. Destiny and Deadshot here. Maybe right below Bane. Could move. We'll see. Ganon. Ganon from Zelda, the cartoon. There's a lot of different Ganons in video games, obviously, but this is the pig Ganon, which I'm glad they went with the pig Ganon for the cartoon. He was to me barely not awesome. I remember him in the show. The show to me wasn't like my favorite show, even though I like Zelda a lot. But he was a cool villain. I'd have him in the barely not awesome category. and probably one above Dr. Blight. Let's do that for now. Gargamel. Gargamel from the Smurfs. Uh, Evil laugh, always cooking something up, has Azrael the cat. I have him as, let's put him as awesome for now. He's to me maybe a little bit around this section, but we might have to play with him. It's a little different because Smurfs is more of a kiddie show, but Gargamel was a very cool villain for that type of show. General Blue. All right, General Blue was Dragon Ball. Again, one of those color Red Ribbon Army people. I think I remember him as being a little bit more important than some of the others. Like he fought multiple episodes or like didn't lose right away. Had a relationship with the leader more than the others that I recall. I was trying to remember where I put some of the others. I'm sure as you're watching, you're like, oh, it's right there, and I just don't see it. But he's to me just cool enough. Like I wouldn't, and there's one of them at least. He's probably more important than like Violet was. The Violet had a cool turn. Maybe just right above Avalanche here. Like he was important enough to the plot. Another General Trag. Is that right? General Trag from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I have to be careful again with these because I had the toys, and so I'd get the toy in my head. And it's like, oh, the toy. The toy doesn't really look a ton like the cartoon, actually, but I don't remember him in the show all that much. I remember a little bit of the Rock guys coming and attacking. He was cool enough for sure, but I'd probably have him maybe right around there. General White. General White, another one of the Red Ribbon Army folks. I'd have him a little bit lower. I think it was a big fight at the top of a tower or something. He was an important character. I remember a gun being involved for some reason. I think he's a little bit better than Colonel Yellow here and maybe some of these guys. So I will have him. Oh, he's probably up by Violet. All right. Genghis Rex, Dinosaucers. So he's, I'd have him as barely not awesome. He was a fun villain. He kind of had that prototypical 80s, maniacal, truly ill will, evil villain kind of vibe to him. He's kind of like Ganon to me, but I'll have him like one below. Gentleman Ghost. Gentleman Ghost is in a lot of shows. I honestly don't remember which the best version was. I think this was Justice League. He's cool enough. There's some instances I remember seeing him where I thought he was done pretty well. But this version, I just don't remember too much about what he did specifically. I'd have him around Felix Faust here, but I would say Faust had a little bit more personality. All right, Ghoul. Ghoul's one of the Jokers again. That gang that's in Batman Beyond throws pumpkins, I think, or I remember him throwing pumpkins at some point. Little like Green Goblin. He was fine. Like he was probably more important than the others. I think he was a leader of the group or whatever. So like Chucko and Bonk or whoever I had down here. He's a little bit better than that, but I don't like him as much as the DD twins. So it's cool enough for now. All right, Giganta from Justice League as well. So Giganta is memorable, grows real big, was also in Super Friends. She was kind of cool enough as well to me, but maybe a little bit farther up. I enjoyed her personality and her character for the most part. I'd probably have that maybe right above Baron Mordo here. All right, Giran. Giran is a dragon that fought in Dragon Ball. He was in the tourneys, at least one that I remember, and was a fun character. I thought he was a good like physical threat, and enjoyed him. I would say he's barely not awesome. I'd probably have him right below Dabura, maybe to start. Okay. Sorry again, some of the pictures cut off. This is Goku Black, so the Bizarro Goku kind of deal from Dragon Ball Super. He was a very powerful dude, and seemed like they had a almost impossible time. They had to like do time travel and stuff to figure it all out, which that can get a little crazy. Uh, he wasn't my favorite, but he was a fun like part of the show unto himself. I may have him. He's a little bit more memorable than some of these people. Let's say I'd like him better than these other Dragon Ball characters, and Amok, I'd have him above there, so I'll put him there. As we continue on, Goldface. Goldface was in Justice League for like 5 seconds. I probably shouldn't even pulled him in here. I think I just remember his face like getting melted or something, or getting thrown out of a ship. I think Lex Luthor killed him, maybe. But he's kind of a trash character. I mean, it's like, and he's not intended to be anything more. Just side character. Grand Inquisitor. Grand Inquisitor is from Rebels. Sith group of like guys going after the main characters. He's a really good villain, like intimidating, fun. I'd have him in the awesome category. Probably Darth Maulish. So let's do that. Granny Goodness. Granny Goodness is creepy from Justice League. Always a good character. Darkseid's main minion. One of them has I don't know what they're called, the Furies or something, the female Furies that do stuff for her. She's a cool villain. She has good driving plot points. I'm gonna have her up in the awesome category. She's very memorable when she's on the screen, and creepy. So I like that. All right, Graydon Creed. Graydon Creed is a mutant hater in X-Men that always tries to sabotage the X-Men, have them killed. The something for humanity, I think he was the leader of, or something. He's not my favorite. Those episodes, I was just like, okay, let's move on. I just didn't really care about him, so let's throw him. He's probably a little bit more important than some of these. So, okay, let's go about right there. Green Goblin. Green Goblin was Spider-Man and wasn't in it at first, and kind of came in later. It's Norman Osborn, and was really cool. Now he seemed a little like the Joker from Batman, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or like his voice was similar. And the plot got a little weird to me with him. He became like in Spider-Man's head or Harry's head or something like that. But he was a cool villain. He's a great villain when you account for all the other stuff, comics and movies and everything. But I'd still have him in the awesome category. I think he was really fun when he was on the show, and maybe right around Emperor Pilaf, and he's better than Doctor Doom, I thought. Brainiac, Darkseid. So the question I have is like, do I like him more than Dr. Octopus on that show? And I think the answer is yes, right around there. Grey Gargoyle. Grey Gargoyle also turns people into stone. I had Dabura earlier right there, who spit on people and turned them to stone. Grey Gargoyle wasn't in the show very much. I think it was Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Again, he's just kind of a side character, but he's cool enough. Every time he's on, I'm like, oh, well, is he going to turn somebody to stone? I'll have him right above Ghoul here. General Grievous. Clone Wars show. 2 Clone Wars shows, I think. really did this character better again, like they did with Darth Maul and others, where you finally get these guys fleshed out and you understand their backstory and all of the other stuff, like their motivation. It's not just some random character you throw in a prequel for Star Wars. Um, Similar to these guys, I'm going to have him up here in the awesome category. I actually liked Grievous probably a little bit more than Maul, but maybe not as much as the Grand Inquisitor. Griffin, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, side character, small character, just didn't really care about. It's like, okay, it's Griffin. Um, Similar to some of these guys down here. So we'll just put him in there for now. Grim Reaper, also Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Little cooler, had a little bit more to do, was a little weirder and creepier. So I'll move him up into the cool enough category. I'd have him above some of these other characters. He's probably about Electro, similar. Grizzlor. Grizzlor was the She-Ra He-Man universe. Just the brute force kind of dude. I just didn't really care about him. And probably have him at the bottom here, right below Big Wheel, on the don't really care about. Gorilla Grodd. Gorilla Grodd is in Justice League, Super Friends, a lot of shows. Really cool character, fun, always has good plots, and is like very thoughtful and introspective, very smart. Sometimes, it takes a long time for his plots to get foiled. He is probably in the barely not awesome category for me, but above, he's kind of like a Baron Zemo, and I'm going to put him right above a Baron Zemo. All right, Ground Chuck. Ground Chuck was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and partners with Dirt Nap, I think, who we had earlier, if I'm not mistaken. And Ground Chuck, again, the same thing I keep saying. It's a toy I had, and it was a fun toy to have. I always liked the toy. But I don't remember enough about him in the show to keep him too much apart from Dirt Nap, other than I think I liked his voice more, if I remember. So they're kind of in the same spot to me. Solomon Grundy. I guess it's Grundy here since we're trying to go in alphabetical order. So Grundy is undead, DC Comics, very dumb, kind of a sympathetic figure though sometimes, like very mean in terms of his actions, but can't really control some of it. I like Grundy a lot, and I would have him maybe in my awesome category as like a low end awesome. Could move, but I'd have him above Granny Goodness there. He's always one that I like to see in like Super Friends and other shows. This is from Thundercats. It is Groon. I don't remember Groon all that much. I feel like I should, and I don't remember those episodes all that much. He's a cool looking character. He's got that like one tooth that hangs out. So because I don't remember him too much, I'm going to leave him down in the cool enough. What I do remember of him was good and threatening, but I don't remember his plot. So I'm going to put him in a little round beast man here. All right, this dude's the Guardian from Samurai Jack. Not really a true bad guy, but he is trying to stop him from getting through a time portal and fights him, and he's very adept and capable and doesn't let him through. Actually wins the battle effectively. Cool enough character, not one of my favorite Samurai Jack characters, just kind of a fun like side part of an episode. I do like him a little bit more than I can't even remember these guys' names now, but probably around there. All right, Goldo. Goldo is part of the Ginyu Force in Dragon Ball Z. He's the first one that they fight. He looks not intimidating at all. His power, I believe, was to stop time, and I cannot remember why that backfired. It seems like a good power to have. Uh, might have been that he had to hold his breath to do it and couldn't hold his breath long enough, if I remember. He was one, honestly, I just didn't really care about, but more so than maybe some, like I'd have him above uh, some of these guys, and like I'd have him above Ghoul. I'm going to move Ghoul down here too. Um, he's fine. Could move up a little bit, but it was compared to the other Ginyu Force, he was kind of lame. Gutsman was in Mega Man. Cutsman or and Cutman and Gutsman were the two primary, I think, robot henchmen of Dr. Wily in that show. Uh, had other robots coming in and out all the time. There might have been one or two others that were in it quite a bit, and I just can't remember. These guys were pretty cool though, and I liked them both together. I liked their personalities together. I did like Cutman a little bit more. Had a cooler voice or something to him that I liked, but I'd have him around there. Hades. Hades is from Justice League, Wonder Woman ish villain. He was one that I just didn't really care about, similar to these guys. I'd probably have him above Fabian Cortez's personality was fine. The voice acting was good. Everything I remember about him was good. It was just like a so what kind of part of the show for me. All right, we have Hagar. So Hagar is from Voltron, evil witch, creates the roe beasts that often or always, I guess, come attack Voltron, the Voltron force. She is awesome, and has the cat. I always loved how creepy she was. She's in this world up here of these types of villains, so I'm just gonna have her right above Asajj and around Doctor Evil. They might, or Doctor Claw. They may move around, but we'll see. All right, Hairbag from X-Men, side character, Nasty Boys. I think didn't really care about him. It was just like, okay, he's there. Um, I'd have him below Eric the Red. Some of these characters were cool. It's like, oh, you see somebody, it's like, oh, I have that toy or whatever. But in terms of the cartoon, they don't really do a whole lot. All right, this is Hammerhead Hannigan, I think, from Darkwing Duck. So you can tell he's a little bit of that like mob kind of business looking suit guy. Don't remember a ton about him. He was a little forgettable to me out of the others compared to the others, but I did like him probably more than Bushroot, so I'll just put him around there. He is one, if I watched again, I might remember more and be like, oh man, yeah, he had that in his personality. I forgot about it. Hammerhead. So this is the Berserkers from Thundercats again. This is just Hammerhead, and then we have another Hammerhead. So this one is one I just didn't really care about. I thought he was a little cooler than whoever I had before from the Berserkers. So right there, Cruncher, I think was his name. So I'd have him a little above Cruncher. All right, Hammerhead from Spider-Man. Uh, again, not one of those villains that I'm like, oh, I gotta see Hammerhead. When he's on, it's like, okay. Now he's probably better in the comics and other stuff, but in the show, I didn't feel like he was all that great or all that important. But I'd have him not like cool enough. Like I didn't not want to see him. It's like, oh, he's there. So he's probably around these guys for now. All right. Hardware. Ooh, struggling to remember what show Hardware was in. Hardware was, I think, in Thundercats, but I don't remember him much. I think he had weapons and made a bunch of. I mean, the picture says that, but like I think he had weapons like that. And that weapon reminds me, if you've ever had Nerf guns, the old bazooka that you pump and it shoots the balls out. It's like what he has. But anyway, I'd have him in the don't really care about because I don't remember him all that much. I would say he looks cooler than some of these other folks. Okay, Harley Quinn. So Harley Quinn was made on the Batman show, Batman animated series. I think that was her first appearance. So don't let anybody tell you that some of the better characters don't come out of the cartoon versus the comic, because this is an example where you can make good characters. Harley's awesome. I don't know that I'd have her as Supreme, but she is awesome. Was a great character. I didn't like her as much as Catwoman. That's just me, personal preference. Some people probably love Harley. She's obviously very popular, but great character. Drove a lot of the plot. Was a great combo with the Joker, and being able to give the Joker another dynamic of like him treating her terribly and sometimes loving her, and she always going back to him, that kind of thing. Uh, Heat Wave. Heat Wave, minor DC character. I think Justice League. Didn't really care about. Nothing wrong with him. Just shoots heat. Probably around Baron von Strucker here, and I think Baron von Strucker is a little bit better. And then Hellgrammite, also DC. Batman might be Batman Beyond or Batman Brave and the Bold. I cannot remember. So Hellgrammite's kind of one. He was a bug-like creature and fought, just side character. To have him down with these guys here does look a little cooler, so I'll keep him up a little bit. Okay, so this is Henry Gyrick, I think. I always get some of those just human people from X-Men confused. He was one of those characters I honestly just didn't really care about either. I mean, he was important for the plot, and it's like you need him in the show, but he just wasn't anybody I cared to see on screen. Maybe ahead of some of these other folks, but not a whole lot. Like I just don't really care about him that much, so I'll have him right there. High Tech. High Tech, I think, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if I remember. I can't remember. I don't think I had the toy of this one for sure. But High Tech, I don't really remember a whole lot about, so I wouldn't say I cared about him all that much. He was fine. Like, I remember enough. I think he was part of the episodes with the uh, whoever I had earlier, if it was Chrome Dome or whoever. Yeah. So probably around there. All right. High Evolutionary. High Evolutionary was in the X-Men show. I think he might have also been elsewhere. I seem to remember a different version of him. But in X-Men, he was just like in one episode, and it wasn't like one of my favorite episodes. He's a fine character. I'm sure he has more to do elsewhere. But I would say I didn't really care about him being in that episode either. Um, Probably I'm above Callisto. I wouldn't have him above Black Tom Cassidy, though. All right, him from Powerpuff Girls. One of the stranger characters, especially at the time, that you would ever see as a villain in a show, was always kind of like bizarre and made the episodes feel really weird, which a lot of the Powerpuff Girls, like Mojo Jojo and stuff, did. They were just kind of so different that you're like, whoa, this is crazy for the villains they've got to fight. And him was probably barely not awesome for me, where it was just like would turn from being really nice seeming and then just super evil real fast. Um, but I'd probably have him kind of like the Boogeyman, but I'll have the Boogeyman right above him. All right, this is Hit. Hit is from Dragon Ball Super. Hit is not super a villain. He is just fighting for his universe and is an antagonist for our universe, but ends up being kind of a better good character in a way, like a lot of the Dragon Ball characters do. He's an awesome character unto himself. As a villain, he's not like super important, but I would still have him as barely not awesome. I thought his character was really cool, but I will put him Right around here. All right, Hobgoblin. So similar to Green Goblin, but Hobgoblin actually came first in the Spider-Man show, uh, and I think he came. If I remember, like in terms of the order of the episodes, I don't know that he actually came before Green Goblin as a character, but uh, he was fun. And maybe this is the one I'm really thinking of that sounded like the Joker, because it might have been Mark Hamill that did this voice. Uh, Struggling with he's cool enough. No, I liked him. I did, and it gets a little repetitive. I never understood why you have a Hobgoblin and a Green Goblin, but anyway, um, he was a fun character, fun enough, and I would have him maybe just above like Count Dooku here. All right, Hoggish Greedley. Hoggish Greedley from Captain Planet. It's like a piggish guy, obviously greedy, based on the name. I'd probably have him a little around Duke Nukem and maybe above. He's fine. Okay, we got Hordak. Hordak from She-Ra. I have knocked the She-Ra villains, unfortunately, at this point. Hordak, however, is a better villain. He is a counterpoint to Skeletor. They actually fight at some point, I think, just like a small fight. But he is kind of funny. He is kind of ruthless, where he throws one of the guys down trapdoor a lot. Uh, those are the only things I really remember about him. But cool character, evil, menacing. I'd have him. Mm, let's put him just below. Just below Dr. Octopus for now. That was my move. Hugo Strange from Batman. I think the animated series, but again, could be the other Batman shows. Never my favorite. Just a character I didn't really care about. Now, he did have a pretty good turn on one of the Batman games, like Arkham City or something like that, where he was much more prevalent and fun, but not on the cartoon. All right, this is Human Ton and Handy from The Tick. So Human Ton is not very intelligent, doesn't know much, and Handy, who lives on his hand, is the brains of the operation. Fun little take there. Probably a take on like the ventriloquist or something from Batman. But I liked Human Ton and I liked Handy, and I would have them as in the barely not awesome category. Um, let's put them maybe just above. I like them more than some of these characters, so I'm running up the stream here. Let's put them around here. As I was doing that, I kept thinking about Handy being so sarcastic and everything's funny. Huntor. Huntor is from Samurai Jack, just another one of the bounty hunters. Wasn't in it a ton. It's a lion hunting a human, so. But I didn't really care about him. He was just a side character for a little bit, and still fun. Some of those characters were still fun to watch, and I'd probably have him around here. All right, Hydro Man. Hydro Man was in Spider Man. He's honestly a little bit annoying. They didn't do Sandman. There was like something with movie rights where they couldn't do Sandman, who's a much more normal Spider Man villain or recurring. I wouldn't say he was trash. I didn't like hate him, but he was one I was like, do we have to have a Hydro Man episode? I guess. Probably around there. Okay, this is I and Am. They are bounty hunters from Samurai Jack. They were a group that were trying to tell their stories about how they were going to do it. I think they're a take off of what is it, the Siamese Cats and Lady and the Tramp, and I can't remember their names, but it's like Psy and Am would be my guess. Just trying to be creative with what it used to be. Thailand. So I and Am are both like parts of a group, so I kept them together. They aren't my favorite bounty hunters, but they're not like forgettable. I remember them pretty clearly, so I'm gonna have them as the cool enough and probably right below Ken. All right, this is Iceberg. I think Iceberg is from Spider-Man and is like a mob boss villain. It feels like the Rocket Racer episode, maybe. I thought he's kind of dumb. I mean, to me, it's just kind of a trash character. It's like you're made of ice, and we already have a million different ice things going on. Like I don't need him. Okay, the Idea Men. Again, I don't know if there's like a head Idea Man, but these are the Idea Men from the Tick. They're funny. They have little idea bulbs on their ships and everything else, and they're cool enough. They're kind of fun side characters to have. They don't talk. They have stuff over their face. I'll put them around Calendar Girl here. All right. The Imaconde. The Imaconde are, or Imacondi, I guess it says, are from Samurai Jack. They are a group of hunters. There's like 5 or 6 of them. They're from another planet. They were brought to Earth by a coup to track him, and it's like the thrill of the hunt. So think Predator was a little of how these guys worked. And I think they actually got him, which does happen at times in that show, which is refreshing. But it was not noble to hand him over, and he fought well and all this other stuff. So they are they're cool enough. There's 5 of them, so there's not like one that stands out as the head personality or anything to me. But I would have them in this group here of maybe a little bit better than those folks. All right, Ink. Ink is Batman Beyond. It's a lady, and she, as you can see, can manipulate her body like Ink, Mr. Fantastic-ish kind of looking thing. So she was cool enough, and I think she actually had a good backstory. She wasn't not super nice person or super terrible person. There was more complexity to her and stuff, and like family stuff that they were dealing with. But Ink is kind of to me like the Grim Reaper and the DD twins, and I'd maybe have her right in there. Okay, Jackalman. Jackalman is from Thundercats, and Jackalman was part of the Mutants, I think is what they called them. Trying to like place him versus the others and what I know about him, but so I'd have him as Barely Not Awesome. I kind of would have him in this section with the Lunatics, and I'd say Jackalman, a little more iconic to me than maybe them, and just have him right there for now. This is out of order. No, it's Mastermind, but I think they probably said it's Jason Wingard, I believe is his name. So Mastermind is the one who in X-Men controls Jean Grey, turns Phoenix into the Dark Phoenix, and then gets his mind rocked later on. Fine character, not my favorite. Like, just he was fine. He was a great plot device, but just the character itself, I didn't really care about all that much. But he was fine. Not as interesting as some of these others to me. So I'll put him like right in here. Okay, Jace. So I mentioned Birder in the first video. So Jace and Birder are the team that comes as a part of Dragon Ball Z and the Ginyu Force. They fight together. I think they were the 3rd battle in there, but so we have Captain Ginyu here. We have Birder somewhere down here, and Jace is a little like that. I thought Birder looked cooler, so I'm gonna have him in the cool enough section as well. All right, Jimbo. Jimbo is from The Simpsons. Jimbo is one of the bullies. We had one earlier that I think we had uh, somewhere. Oh, there we go. Uh, Probably a little bit similar to me. I have him as Cool Enough. I remember him. I think he was more important there, but they were just side bullies, and I was like, all right, moving on. Josephine. Josephine is from Samurai Jack. She and her, I think it was her husband or ex-husband or something, were um, capturing Jack, trying to capture him on a train, and she was the like damsel in distress, Belle, Southern Belle, kind of girl, and she was fun. She was a spunky character. I enjoyed her being on the show. She's a little in this barely not awesome category, probably. I might move some of these around, but liked her personality. Was a fun little dynamic they had. All right, Juggernaut. Juggernaut is from the X-Men, and Juggernaut is, I think, Xavier's stepbrother. And I don't know if that's comics or the show, but he's stepbrother, and so he, I think, would be. I'll have him in my awesome category for now, maybe right around here. He was one of the more iconic villains I remember from X-Men. Was always like an unstoppable force. They had to try to get his helmet off to take his mind over to get him to stop, that kind of thing. All right. Picture cut off here a little bit. This is Jajunga from Samurai Jack. He is another one of those bounty hunters that fought with I and Am and some of the others. Cool enough character, not one of my favorites. I maybe have him like right below them. Calabac. Calabac is Darkseid's son from Justice League, and he is kind of the one that messes stuff up a lot, but he is strong and powerful. He's not very smart, but he was always a cool enough character for sure. And then I'd probably have him right around Cersei. So he is a recurring character in a lot of shows, I'm sure, but Justice League's what I remember from. All right, Kang the Conqueror. Kang's in a lot of stuff. This is Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I don't remember him a ton from the show, and it could be that he like had a whole season of plot for all I remember, and it's probably because I've watched enough of other Marvel stuff now where I am Kanged out, and it's like, all right, we've done enough multiverse stuff, so he probably will pay a little bit of a penalty for that, even though that's not reflective of him being in the cartoon, which is what I'm supposed to be ranking on. But anyway, I will have him in the cool enough section and toward the top, maybe around Felix Faust. All right, Cats. So Cats is from Courage the Cowardly Dog, and Cats owns a motel and is kind of creepy. Look, I want to say it might have been the first episode or one of the first episodes. But he wasn't one of my favorites. He was mean and creepy. It wasn't one that I'd like go back and necessarily watch though. So he's not one of my super favorites. I'll put him down just above the Berserkers here. Okay, now we have the other bully from Simpsons, Kearney. I don't remember Kearney as much as the other guys. I mean, I remember him being there, but I don't remember anything he did. Still, I will throw him as the third in that group of cool enough characters. They're fun to have. You need characters like that on The Simpsons, where they just are bullies, and that's their motive. Okay, the Key from Justice League. One of those like fodder villains again. He just was kind of dumb. I wouldn't put him in the trash character, but I'd put him down in this group here. He at least did some stuff, fired his little key gun and did some stuff, but it wasn't anything that I was like, oh, I have to watch this guy. KG Beast and Batman. This might be one of the other Batmans as well. I say that every time because I cannot differentiate them too much. Or he could have been actually in Justice League if they didn't have him in Batman. Because sometimes, like in Justice League Unlimited, they had a bunch of villains. So that's probably where he's coming from. But anyway, moral story is I don't remember much about him. And I would probably put him cooler character than like the Keep, but we'll put it here. All right, Killer Croc. Killer Croc can be a fun character. He is in a couple of the Batman animated series episodes. He is creepy. This is probably not honestly my favorite version of Killer Croc. I think I've seen him in some other things where he's a little more vicious with his like video games or something. But I would have him in Cool Enough and above Circe probably. Killer Frost, Justice League Unlimited, I think. She wasn't one of my favorites, and honestly, I just didn't really care about her. It's like one of those side characters. I'm like, yeah, okay, Killer Frost. Kind of like Heatwave, but a little bit more personality than Heatwave, a little bit more than Baron von Strucker. So I'm going to put her here. Okay, we are in the K's. So this is actually King Koopa from Mario Brothers. I don't know if they actually called him Bowser or not in the show, but I believe it was King Koopa. Hadn't seen that in a while, but King Koopa was kind of barely not awesome to me. I say that because I don't remember him in the show as much. You get exposed to him in a lot of other forums through video games and stuff, so it's hard to differentiate. But I do remember enjoying him on the cartoon. He's kind of like the Duke here for me. Okay, King Ramses. King Ramses' Courage the Cowardly Dog was weird. It was like a different type of animation. It sat outside the house, put plagues on the house, and it kept asking to do something, and they wouldn't do it. The Eustace, the guy who owned Courage, was always real stubborn, so he kept insisting on getting the plagues. But again, one of those barely not awesome characters for me from Courage, where he is creepy, like real creepy, and I'd probably have him right above Big Toe. Okay, this is King Cobra from the Serpent Society, the leader of the Serpent Society, and still, I don't remember him as much as some of these others, crazily. So I'll have him right below Anaconda. King Cold. King Cold is Frieza's dad and was only in the show for a little bit, but he's kind of like arrogant and pompous and like proud that his son is so strong and he's so strong and all this other stuff. And he was cool enough for sure. I don't know if I'd have him in the barely not awesome category, but he's probably up around these guys in Dragon Ball. All right, this is King Lizard from Invincible. So I don't know if it's the Lizard Society or whatever, their take on the Serpent Society, but they're far more brutal. He is a brutal leader, actually, a very capable and brutal leader, I think, of them, if I recall. So he is cool enough. I don't love the Serpent Society, Lizard Society things as much, but he is fine at what he does. I'd probably have him... let's put him right around here. All right, King Piccolo. King Piccolo is from Dragon Ball, the original, and this is the first Piccolo. There is a second Piccolo, but this is King Piccolo, who is like the epitome of evil and drives a lot of the plot of Dragon Ball. I have him as a high awesome, probably around here toward the top. And some of these guys may move a lot because as I look at them, I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, they're supreme. But King Piccolo was really fun. Dragon Ball was a fun show, and he helped drive a lot of that part of the series. Kingpin from Spider-Man. Kingpin was, a Daredevil villain and Spider-Man villain and other things. This is the best take on him. After watching Spider-Man again, I think he's the best villain on the show. Uh, he actually has interactions with a lot of other villains. With Spider-Man, obviously, he does things behind the scenes. One of the better villains, so I will have him up here as well. All right, Claw. Claw is Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I don't remember him much. I really don't care about him that much. I'm sure he was fighting Black Panther in Wakanda doing that thing. But he's kind of like High Evolutionary to me, where I just don't care too much. He was on the show. All right, Krang. Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Krang is funny, awesome, and probably supreme. He's the one where he's actually a brain in the human body instead of a brain with a bowl around his head. But he's very memorable. His voice was always great. His interactions with Shredder were great. Classic character for sure. Kraven. Kraven from Spider-Man. Kraven I really enjoyed on the show as well. He was a fun character. I don't know if I'd call him like supreme or anything like that, but I think he was kind of awesome, and I would have him maybe right around here. Lady Deathstrike, X-Men. Not one of my favorites. The character just always was never one of my favorites, and it's just a personal preference thing. Some people might love the Reavers or whatever they were. She was just, I really didn't care about those episodes. I kind of wanted another plot to ensue, but she was better than some of these others. Like I'd have her around Callisto. Laserbeak. Laserbeak was one of Soundwave's tapes. Kids don't know what tapes are anymore, probably, but when they had cassette tapes, they transformed into robots back in Transformers, and Laserbeak was one of them. Laserbeak is iconic to me. I mean, again, I'm a Transformers fan. I'd have him in the awesome section. He does like spying and espionage and is very loyal, fun character, despite the fact that he doesn't even talk all that much. I'd probably have him around Bebop. Okay, this is it Lashina or Lashina from DC? So she's one of the Furies in Justice League. Superman as well, probably, but with like Granny Goodness and those folks. She's cool enough. She was one that was memorable. She had like the whatever they are. She's got it in her hand. It's like almost a piece of cloth that gets hard and hits people whenever she decides to make it do it, like a little whip. She is probably in around the DD Twin section, Ink section, and I'd have her like above Grim Reaper, maybe below Electro. All right, this is Lava Man. I don't remember much about Lava Man. I think Lava Man was in the Tick, just burnt through things. I don't really remember him. I probably should. I will just throw him down in the don't really care about section around Heatwave-ish. LeQuack from Courage the Cowardly Dog. LeQuack was a character I don't remember a ton about. He had these two little mustache, or he had two little things that made a mustache, and he actually took them off at some point. But I remember him getting that hot air balloon, and they were up, and he was trying to drop him or something. But he wasn't somebody I remembered a lot compared to the other ones in the show. So I'd have him around Basil, but I like Basil a little bit more, and then I'd have him a little above the veterinarian, bad veterinarian. All right, the leader. The leader was in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, also in Hulk show, other stuff. He's cool enough. He's not one of my favorites, but he's cool enough, and I'd probably put him by Galactus. Let's try that. Okay, this is it Leatherneck, right? Yeah, Leatherneck from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Had a Cajun accent. Remember that? Fight in the swamp. I liked him. I did. He was one of the characters I did like or remember from the show a bit more. I will have him right above Dinosaur Neil. All right, Liquidator, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, from Darkwing Duck. One of the, there's like a group of 5 again that were a pack of villains. I don't remember what they were called, but he was one of them. Liquidator, I liked. He was one who was like a Hydro Man kind of deal, but was a little more fun. And I will put him a little bit more impactful than some of these other guys. I'll put him just below Carnage. Livewire, Justice League. A little bit more spunk than some of the others from what I recall, and I will have her in the cool enough category and probably above Gentleman Ghosts. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, is this Living Laser? Living Laser, also Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Kind of cool powers on the show, but nothing I really remember, so I kind of didn't really care about too much. Somewhat like the Claw, but Claw I had would say is a little bit more memorable to me. Okay, let's see where we're at. We'll probably try to get through the L's and be done for this video, which would put us not too far away. All right, so Lizard. Lizard is in Spider-Man. Lizard is a very iconic character. Kurt Connors, very sympathetic, had his arm, lost his arm, tried to grow it back, became the Lizard, have his family in the show, a bunch of other stuff. He is probably toward the Barely Not Awesome category for me, and is, let's just throw him like by Hobgoblin for now. Lobo is kind of a mercenary, not good, not bad guy, just out for himself, funny character, but really powerful in DC. Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I'm sorry, Justice League. You have enough of these characters, it starts to blend together. But Justice League, he is a constant foil for like Superman because he's super strong. But he's a fun character. I enjoyed him. So I put him like above Granny Goodness probably and right below Solomon Grundy. Lokar from Space Ghost. I do not remember Lokar very much, and I feel like I should, but I can't. And so I'll just put him down in the don't really care about. Now I do remember enough of him to keep him out of the kind of trash area, but not by much. Loki, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I don't remember Loki from that show a ton. I mean, I do know that he was a key point, but he is in so much other stuff that it's hard to remember what he did there versus otherwise. But I think he's kind of around the Enchantress level. I do remember the Enchantress a little bit more, so I'm going to keep her above for now. Luton Plunder from Captain Planet. Probably not one of my favorites of them, but I do remember him a lot. We'll keep him around these guys. I would maybe have some of these others just above him, but I do remember him more than like Galactus there. So Luton Plunder, Captain Planet, all those greedy people trying to exploit the environment. Lord Dreg is a tough one because I need to go back and watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He was the main villain, I think, the last season or two. I don't remember a ton about him, but I do remember him. And he was really villainous. Felt like he was more of a threat than Krang and Shredder, from what I remember. I'll put him in the Barely Not Awesome category. I do remember him enough that I'd have him there, but I don't think I can put him very high because I don't remember enough about him. All right, Prince Lotor from Voltron, one of my favorites as well. Like the character a lot. I don't know if I can put him in Supreme just yet, but I'm going to have him maybe right there, split up Destro and Baroness for a minute. Lotor was a ladies' man, so it would make sense. He was trying to kind of overtake his father, who's King Zarkon we'll have later. But a really cool character. All the Voltron characters were pretty cool on the villain side. All right, this is Luna. This is the leader of the Lunatics. Luna was, I think, actually a big uh, lady that was on another planet or something, and then a sorceress turned her into a smaller version of herself, which is why she rides Amok, who we had earlier. She is fun. She is different. I probably have her in the awesome category, just as her voice and everything was really distinct. Maybe around Psykill here. It's kind of an iconic character for me. All right, Lex Luthor from Justice League, Superman as well. This is the best version of Lex Luthor. And that's saying a lot because the Gene Hackman version of the Superman movies is great. But this is the version that I kind of reference in my head. He's very intelligent, plays both sides, has powerful tools and things to actually be a force, manipulates things around him, very rarely gets manipulated himself. So I will have him for now toward the top of the awesome category, around these folks here. Okay, I think that gets us through the L's. It'll take us to the M's. I don't know that there's as many on the back end of the alphabet as before, but we'll see. So it might be like 4 parts if we can get through that. So we'll stop there and then bring it back for M going forward.